You have 8 seconds. That's how long it takes to bleed out from a femoral artery cut. Not minutes, seconds. You're not thinking about your bug-out bag right now. You're not thinking about the generator in your garage. You're thinking, what's in my pocket? What is in your pocket? The survival industry has spent 30 years selling you gear you'll never use. Tactical backpacks, 40-pound bug-out bags, underground bunkers with a 12-month waiting list. And meanwhile, people die. Not from the disaster, from what came after. From darkness they couldn't see through. From blood nobody knew how to stop. From a phone that died at the worst possible moment. The industry doesn't want you to know the 8 things that actually matter, because they're small, they're cheap, and you only buy them once. I'm the Fox, and today I'm going to show you 8 items that fit in your jacket pocket. Combined weight, under 3 pounds. Combined cost, under $200. 8 items that give you a real chance when everything goes sideways. Not a fantasy, not a product review, a system. Stay until the end. The last item is the one they hate the most. Here's what the data actually says. And yes, there is data. FEMA has studied disaster survivability for decades. The Red Cross has cataloged thousands of incidents. The pattern is always the same. The explosion doesn't kill most people. The tornado doesn't kill most people. What kills people is the 48 hours after. Uncontrolled bleeding. Hypothermia, in July, in a basement. Dehydration that shuts down rational thought. Complete communication blackout when family is 2 miles away. These are not dramatic deaths. They're quiet ones, and they're almost entirely preventable. So what does the survival industry sell you? A 60-liter bag you're supposed to grab in 30 seconds while your house is on fire. A generator that runs on gasoline, which goes bad in 90 days if you don't treat it. A solar kit with a lithium battery bank that starts degrading the day you plug it in. These products aren't designed for your survival. They're designed for their revenue. A bag you buy once and never need to replace. Bad for business. 8 cheap items you carry every single day. They can't charge you enough for that, so they bury it. They drown it in tactical aesthetics and $60 price tags. The fox doesn't carry the whole forest. The fox carries what it needs. Foxes have survived ice ages, civilizational collapses, and suburbanization. Not by being the strongest, not by having the biggest den, by being adaptive, light, prepared for the specific moment. That's the philosophy behind what I'm about to show you. 8 items. Each one solves a specific, documented, statistically probable way to die. Nothing decorative, nothing tactical for the sake of looking tactical. Just the minimum that works. The Fox Minimum. Item 1. The tourniquet. The survival industry wants to sell you a first aid kit the size of a carry-on suitcase. 47 items. 3 kinds of antiseptic. A booklet of instructions. You know what you actually need for the most common survivable trauma. 1 piece of nylon, 1 metal buckle, 1 windlass rod. The femoral artery, the main artery in your thigh, can empty your blood volume in under 3 minutes. The brachial artery in your arm, 2 minutes. You will not think clearly past 60 seconds of that kind of blood loss. You will not be able to call for help past 90. A cat tourniquet, applied correctly, stops arterial bleeding in under 30 seconds. 1 hand. No medical training required. The design is military grade, developed specifically because soldiers were dying from limb wounds that were completely survivable. The U.S. Army studied it. They mandated it. Soldiers carry it on their body. Not in their pack. On their body. The survival industry never tells you this because a $25 tourniquet solves the #1 cause of preventable trauma death. That's a market they'd rather you not think about. You carry this on your belt. or in the outer pocket of your jacket, not buried in a bag, on your body. Practice applying it one-handed, on your dominant arm, on your non-dominant arm. Do it until you can do it in the dark, in 30 seconds, without thinking, because when you need it, you will not be thinking clearly. Item 2. The flashlight. Darkness is not a minor inconvenience. Darkness is a trap. In the first hour after a structural collapse, 70% of fatal secondary injuries happen because people move chaotically. They trip. They fall into voids. They cut themselves on debris they couldn't see. They walk away from their only exit because they couldn't see it. Your eyes take up to 45 minutes to fully adapt to complete darkness. In that window, you are functionally blind. A 150 lumen headlamp eliminates that window entirely. $30. Rubber housing. Standard AA batteries. 50 grams. Fits in your shirt pocket. The industry will try to sell you a $200 tactical flashlight. You don't need it. But here's what they really don't tell you. Batteries matter more than the flashlight. Lithium. AA cells last 10 years in storage. Alkaline, 2. Most people have alkaline. Most people find dead batteries when it matters. Lithium, AA, not alkaline. The cost difference is $3. Replace them every 2 years. Write the date on the battery with a marker. This is not complicated. The industry just doesn't make money selling you a battery every 2 years. They make money selling you a new flashlight. Item 3. Water. Your brain is 73% water. At 2% dehydration, cognitive performance drops by 20%. At 5%, you start making irrational decisions. At 10%, you can't make decisions at all. Stress accelerates dehydration. Adrenaline accelerates it further. In a high-stress scenario, you can hit 2% deficit in under an hour. Half a liter. Sip it. Ration it. Not to survive for a week. To keep your brain functional for the first 2 hours. The first 2 hours are when every decision that determines your outcome gets made. The survival market wants to sell you a $40 filtration system. For an urban emergency scenario, you need a bottle of water you already have. The solution is that boring. That's why they don't sell it. Item 4. Energy bars. The brain consumes 20% of your body's total energy. Under acute stress, that number spikes. Your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for planning, judgment, and impulse control, is the first region to go offline when glucose drops. 2 or 3 energy bars. Any brand. 400 calories. That's 20 to 30 minutes of clear thinking when your body is burning through reserves. 20 minutes of clear thinking might be the difference between finding the exit and not finding it. The industry sells you tactical nutrition at $8 a bar. Oats and honey. That's all it is. You're paying $6 for the word tactical. Item 5. Phone and power bank. After Hurricane Katrina, FEMA studied survivor accounts. One of the most consistent findings. People who could communicate survived at dramatically higher rates, not because they called for help, because they could share information. Where is safe? Where is dangerous? Where water is? Where it isn't? A dead phone is not a communication device. It's a paperweight. The telecom industry has built an infrastructure that fails in exactly the scenarios you need it most. Towers lose power. Towers get overloaded. Cell networks go down within hours of a major event. But even a degraded network, SMS, offline maps, local Wi-Fi from emergency services, requires a charged phone. A 10,000 milliamp hour power bank weighs 6 ounces. It charges your phone twice, 3 times. It costs $20. Telecom companies make money when you depend on their towers. A power bank keeps you alive when their towers don't. That's why every carrier store sells you a new phone plan and never mentions the $6 investment that keeps you connected when their network fails. Rule: phone above 80% charge at all times. Power bank always fully charged. This is not a gear purchase, it's a habit. Item 6. Copies of your documents. This is the item nobody puts on survival lists because it isn't tactical. It doesn't look good in a thumbnail. But here's the reality of a disaster scenario in America. FEMA checkpoints, hospital intake, evacuation buses, shelter registration. Every single point requires identification. No ID, no resources, no access, no record that you even exist. Waterproof laminated copies of your driver's license, insurance card, a family contact list, and any critical medical information. Fits in a Ziploc bag smaller than your hand. Weighs nothing. The survival industry ignores this because you can't charge $75 for a Ziploc bag. But it may be the single item that unlocks every other resource in a managed disaster scenario. One more thing. Photograph your documents and store them offline in your phone. No cloud. Offline. If the network is down, cloud storage is useless. Item 7. Cash. Small bills. Every major disaster in modern American history has had one economic constant. Digital payment infrastructure fails before anything else. Square terminals need internet. Venmo needs internet. Credit card processors need internet. Cash needs nothing. In the first 24 to 72 hours after a major event, cash is the operating currency of survival. Fuel, food, a stranger's help, a place to sleep. These things exist in a crisis, but they move on cash. Small bills only. Nobody can make change in a crisis. $100 in mixed denominations, distributed across 2 or 3 pockets. Banks don't advertise this. Digital payment companies definitely don't. But your grandfather knew it. Every generation that lived through a real collapse figured it out eventually. You can figure it out before or after. Your choice. Item 8. The Mylar blanket. This is the item the industry hides hardest because it costs $1.50. Hypothermia kills in scenarios you would never expect. 65-degree air, wet clothes, 90-minute wait for rescue. That's it. That combination is enough. Core body temperature below 95 degrees Fahrenheit, you're hypothermic. Below 90, you're no longer capable of rewarming yourself without external heat. Below 86, cardiac arrest risk. A Mylar emergency blanket reflects 90% of radiated body heat back to you. It weighs 1 ounce, folds to the size of a deck of cards. The outdoor gear industry will sell you a $300 down jacket with the same thermal principle dressed up in premium branding. The physics are identical. The price is 200 times higher. Physics doesn't care about your jacket's brand. 1 blanket per person in your household, in every vehicle, in every jacket pocket, $1.50. That's the cost of preventing the quiet killer. Let's step back and look at what we just covered. 8 items, under 3 pounds, under $200 total. And if you assembled this kit today and carried it for 30 years, you would spend no additional money on it. That's the problem. The survival preparedness market in the United States is a $12 billion industry. $12 billion. That money does not flow toward permanent solutions. It flows toward recurring purchases. Gear that expires, gear that gets upgraded, gear that fails. Every product on that market has an engineered lifespan. Not because that's the best product design. Because a customer who solves their problem permanently is a customer you lose. The survival industry is not in the business of keeping you safe. It's in the business of keeping you shopping. Those are not the same thing. They are often opposites. None of what I've shown you today is secret. The military has known about tourniquet placement for decades. FEMA's own data on disaster mortality has been public for years. The thermal physics of Mylar blankets are ninth-grade science. But this information doesn't have a marketing budget. It doesn't have a Super Bowl ad. It doesn't have a celebrity endorsement. It has exactly what you're watching right now. Someone who went looking for it. The noise machine of the survival industry is loud. Tactical aesthetics, camouflage, influencers with night vision equipment in their sponsored kit. The actual science of surviving an actual emergency is quiet. Boring even. 8 items, 3 pounds, $200. They hide it behind silence, not walls. Behind noise, not locks. The most effective censorship in a consumer economy is never banning information. It's just making sure it doesn't trend. There's one more thing they don't teach in any survival course. 85% of people in a sudden life-threatening event freeze, not panic. Freeze. They stand still. They wait for someone else to move first. The brain, flooded with cortisol and adrenaline, defaults to paralysis. The people who don't freeze, research is consistent on this. They freeze less because they've pre-decided, not because they're braver, not because they're stronger, because they already made the decision before the emergency happened. Having a kit doesn't save you. Having a kit you've thought about, touched, practiced with, that's what breaks the freeze response. The decision was already made. The brain just executes. When something goes wrong, you have approximately 3 seconds of clear thought before adrenaline takes over. 3 seconds. In those 3 seconds, ask yourself 3 questions. 1. Am I in immediate physical danger right now? Move or stay. 2. Who is around me and what do they need? 3. What do I have on me that I can use in the next 60 seconds? Not what's in your car, not what's at home, what's on your body. That's why the Fox Minimum is a pocket kit, not a trunk kit, not a basement kit, a body kit. Because in those 3 seconds, the only thing that exists is what's on you. 8 items. Let's run them. Cat tourniquet. Stops the #1 cause of preventable trauma death. Headlamp with lithium batteries. Gives you sight when everything else fails. ½ liter of water. Keeps your brain functional for the first 2 critical hours. Energy bars. 20 minutes of clear thinking, extended. Phone plus power bank. You exist on the information network when infrastructure fails. Laminated documents. You exist legally when bureaucracy activates. Small bills. You exist economically when digital infrastructure fails. Mylar blanket. You stay warm when physics would prefer you didn't. Under 3 pounds, under $200. Built once, carried always. Here's your challenge. Not to buy all 8 items this week, just 1. Start with the tourniquet, learn to apply it, then the headlamp, then build from there. Every item you add is one more decision already made. One more reason your brain doesn't have to freeze. Tell me in the comments, which item do you already carry? And which one were you surprised wasn't in your pocket? I read every comment. The people in this community are the real network, not the gear, the knowledge. Next time, we go deeper on the communication problem. Your phone is not a communication device in a grid-down scenario. And what is? The network they built to keep you quiet. We're going to talk about that. Subscribe. Hit the bell. Not because the algorithm told you to, because the next video might be the one you actually need. I'm the Fox. Stay light, stay sharp,